So this is a quick video showing the issues I've been having with the clutch disc fitment. These two discs here are the discs that I got from Phoenix Friction back in Jersey. And the first disc that they sent was this one here. And these rivet heads are what interfered with the heads of the flywheel bolts. And this is the one that when I called, they said we put the wrong friction pucks on the flywheel side. Therefore, that's what was causing the heads of the rivets to hit, and they said there should be clearance there. You'll also notice too, I didn't really pay much attention to this right off the bat, but the heads of those rivets, some of the heads on those rivets look like they've got gall marks on them from I don't know what. I mean, I know that, they don't look used, but it makes me wonder if that's not from some kind of interference fit from somebody trying to previously install it or something. That's just really hard to say. So anyway, this disc right here was the disc that they sent to replace it. And they were real good. They overnighted it and built it the same day that I called them. This is the one that they claimed they used the correct thickness of friction material for the pucks on the flywheel side. And so there was a slight difference, not a lot. And what ended up being the deal was the heads of the rivets on this disc versus that one. This one here actually had interference. In other words, they were actually hitting the heads of the bolts. I would call that probably net, because I did check the clearance on that one, and it was pretty much net. It was zero. This one here ended up having about 20 thousandths clearance between the heads of those rivets and the flywheel bolts. The counterbore and the flywheel had plenty of room for the spring hub. That really wasn't the issue. The issue was the heads of the bolts hitting the rivets. So as you can see, I've laid a straight edge across here, and we'll try to get some decent light there. And you can see that the heads of those rivets are proud off of the friction surface that goes on the flywheel, meaning that they're actually sticking out beyond the surface of the flywheel by quite a ways. I did measure that. I wrote it down. I can't tell you exactly what it is off the top of my head, but it's a fair amount. When you take a look at, and so this is the disc I opted to not use, saying that once the disc beds in, that 20 thousandths is going to go away, and then we'd end up having the same problems that we would have with this first disc. Now, the solution, according to the friction place here in town, was to build a solid hub disc with no springs in it whatsoever. That is not going to work. It's really noisy. It's transmitting all kinds of bad harmonics into the transmission and the bearings and so forth. So this is the one that they built to replace the solid hub disc. Now, this obviously has got, a row of springs in it, similar to this one. When you look at these two side by side, you can really see that the one that's on the left from Phoenix Friction, the hub looks a lot more robust. It's got 8 rivets holding the hub instead of 4, but I don't know how these play in as well, because if these do play in, and of course they're on a bigger, larger diameter circle than these, so these 4 by themselves could actually be rated for higher torque than these 8 on this small circle. So I'm not 100% sure what the pattern is on this hub or how these play in. But anyway, the springs are a little bit of a concern because there's not much room between the coils. So there's not going to be a lot of lateral movement with this disc. This one here has a little bit more room for lateral movement. And the wire diameter on the springs is quite a bit larger in diameter than these. Now that obviously doesn't mean a whole lot, but it does mean something, is that obviously this one's going to be rated for a higher torque rating than this one. But if it doesn't fit, it really is kind of a moot point. So hopefully these springs will give me enough torsional dampening to eliminate the bad noises that are going on right now being transmitted into the transmission. Now you can see the major difference between this hub and that's not going to work, is it? Let's just go like this. You can see that there is actually, instead of these things sticking up, they're actually below the surface. There's good light right there. They're actually below the surface of the flywheel surface, the friction surface on the flywheel, as is the hub itself. There's nothing sticking up above the level of, you know, that flywheel friction surface, and that means that it's going to fit without a problem. The pressure plate sides are very similar. In fact, similar enough that you can kind of see that when they're put like this, they're very, very close to the same protrusion sticking out on that side. Diameters are pretty close to the same as well. So I guess the bottom line here is, you know, that's a little bit smaller diameter hub. You can see that's just a monster hub. That's a nice looking hub. It just isn't going to fit. So anyhow, the other difference, of course, being that went with a ceramic on one side, organic on the other. You know, I'm not looking for, you know, a clutch that's got a 800 foot-pound torque rating. I'm looking for something that's got about 15% more bite, that is drivable, and this is going to give that to me if it ends up working out. So anyway, goes in on Tuesday to go under the knife once again, and hopefully this will be the end of the clutch issues. So anyway, hopefully I don't have to make an update. That's it for now.